At the start of the drama, we see the female lead, Chinian. She is a cartoonist and writes romantic comics. But romance is always missing from her comics because there is no such thing as romance in her life. She is sitting on a chair working when she accidentally falls down and, due to exhaustion, falls asleep right there. Meanwhile, we see the people from Chinian's office in a meeting where they were discussing her comics and how they lack any romance. The executive editor here is Jo Shin. She starts to cover for Chinian, saying she is still very young. Then, another girl says to her, if she continues to work like this, she will be fired from the company soon. She comes to talk to Chinian about this and says to her, if you don't write a good comic soon, you could lose your job. Hearing this, Chinian says, I am going to write a good comic soon, which will have a lot of action scenes. Jo Shin tells her, this sounds less like romance and more like wrestling. Chinian asks her, how does it feel when someone likes you? Jo Shin explains, when someone is in love, their heartbeat starts to get faster, and their heart starts to race. Hearing this, Chinian says, how can a heart possibly race? From her words, we realize how dumb she is. Annoyed, Jo Shin gives Chinian a stack of romantic books and says, go and read these so you know what romance is like, and by tomorrow evening, prepare a draft of a new romantic novel and give it to me. In the next scene, we see Chinian sitting on a bench thinking of an idea for her next comic. Just then, a golden-colored dog arrives. She gives it her snacks and, looking at it, says, you must be looking for your owner. Come on, I'll help you with that. Just then, a sound comes from the alarm on the dog's collar, and it starts to run, with Chinian chasing after it. Then we see that someone is tracing the dog's location. The dog runs and stops near that person and starts barking. He turns around, and we see that it's the male lead, Gian, who is a cold and arrogant type of professor. When Chinian sees him, she just keeps staring because he was very handsome. Gian says, I'm sorry, my dog caused trouble for you. They were talking when the dog sees a butterfly. It starts chasing after it to catch it. The leash was in Jian's hand, and when the dog lunged, it caused him to fall on top of Chinian. He immediately says, I'm sorry, to Chinian. She says, it's okay, it was an accident. Just then, the dog climbs onto Jian's back, and they accidentally kiss. Gian quickly gets up and starts apologizing to her, but Chinian was still lying there thinking, why has my heartbeat become so fast? When she stands up, snacks fall from her back, which the dog eats. Gian says, I will pay for this. Chinian says, I don't want money. Can I get your number? Because I need to talk to you about something. Just then, Chinian gets a call from Jo Shin, who tells her, the deadline to submit the draft is not tomorrow, but today, so come to the office quickly. She says to Gian, please, can you do me a favor? Something important has come up, but I will be back soon. But until then, can you wait for me here? Before Gian could say anything, Chinian runs away from there. When she reaches the office, Jo Shin asks her, have you started the work? Chinian says, no, I have thought of an idea for the next comic, which is in my mind. So she quickly starts preparing the draft. On the other side, we see Gian, who, listening to Chinian, is waiting for her. However, he had to leave after getting a call. He wrote his name and number on a piece of paper and left it on the bench, but it blew away after he left. Then we see Chinian, who has very quickly prepared a new draft. She had drawn the exact scene that had just happened to her. Seeing it, Jo Shin is also shocked and asks, what happened to you so suddenly? How did you change your style so quickly? Hearing this, Chinian says shyly, the thing you just said about the heartbeat getting faster, I just experienced that. Jo Shin says, does this mean that what is shown in the draft you just prepared is real, and it happened to you? To this, Chinian says yes, which makes Jo Shin happy, and she decides to publish this draft and tells her, you have to meet that person. Hearing her words, Chinian remembers, I asked Gian to wait, so she immediately runs from there. But by then, Gian had left. She tells Jo Shin about this, so she says, you have to find that person no matter what. Then we see Gian, who comes to meet his friend, Xiaozui. Xiaozui tells him, your grandpa has fixed many blind dates, so now get ready to meet them. But Gian didn't want to get married. Xiaozui explains, your grandpa won't listen. Until you get a girlfriend, he won't rest. He says, do you even remember the last time you were close to a girl? Gian says, yes, just this afternoon, and we even kissed. Xiaozui asks, do you like her? Gian explains, I am not interested in love and all that. Chinian gets an idea to find Gian. She posts on social media, my golden-colored dog is lost somewhere. There was a handsome boy with him. If anyone sees them anywhere, please inform me. The informer will also be rewarded. After posting, Chinian goes to sleep. When she wakes up in the morning, someone has replied to her post saying, The dog and the person were seen at Junction University. That's why Chinian reaches that university. There, she meets a girl who was secretly taking someone's photo. She goes and asks that girl, "Have you seen a handsome boy with a golden-colored dog?" That girl asks, "Why do you want to meet him?" Actually, this girl had understood that she was talking about Professor Gian, so she wanted to know if something was going on between them. Chinian also tells her straight, "We kissed." Hearing this, she is very shocked. Just then, the girl sees that the guards are coming to catch her, so she takes the memory card out of her camera and puts it in Chinian's bag, and she tells Chinian, "The person you are looking for is in the lecture room of the architecture building." Saying this, she immediately leaves. Believing the girl's words, Chinian goes and sits in the classroom. Just then, Professor Gian makes his entry. When she sees him, she just keeps staring. She says, "Hi," to him, but Gian ignores her and starts his lecture. Chinian tells her friend, "This is the same person I was telling you about yesterday." She sits and starts sketching Gian. He comes over and asks, "What are you doing?" Chinian says, "I am taking notes on the lecture you are giving." Saying this, she hides her notebook. Gian says, "Okay, after the lecture, bring your notebook to my office." After the lecture, Gian shows a box to all the students and says, "Whoever opens this, I will grant them one wish." All the students run towards him to open the box, but then someone calls Gian, so he leaves from there. When he comes back, he sees that Chinian has opened the box. Seeing this, he is very surprised and takes her to his office. Looking at her notebook, he says, "So, you were doing this in class." Then he gives her the notebook back. Chinian was putting the notebook in her bag when she finds the memory card. She takes it out to look at it, but Gian takes it from her hand and puts it in his computer to see. Inside, there were only his photos. Seeing them, Chinian says, "These photos are very good, but I didn't take them." Then Gian asks her, "How did you open that box?" Because there are 3 ways to open it, so which one did you use? Chinian opens the box in front of him, and she opens it in a 4th way, which shocks Gian, and he asks, "How did you do that?" Chinian explains, "This is very easy. My father is an architect, and I have played with many such boxes in my childhood." Then Gian asks her, "What is your wish?" Chinian says, "I want to be with you always." Gian says, "Oh, so you want to be my assistant?" To which Chinian says yes without thinking. Then he gives Chinian an ID card and tells her, "Put your photo on it," and explains, "Don't be late for work at all." Seeing this, Chinian becomes very happy because now she was going to be with Gian. She adds this entire incident to her comic, and she shows this draft to Zhou Xin and tells her, "My comic is still not very good." Zhou Xin says, "It's okay. You should hire an assistant who understands romantic things." The next day, Chinian goes to Gian and tells him his schedule for the day. Gian was about to say something to her, but he didn't remember her name, so he says nothing. But after a while, he gives Chinian a lot of work, saying, "Finish all this by the time my class ends, and you have to do this for the next 7 days. Chinian asks, "Why 7 days?" Gian says, "I can only tolerate someone for 7 days." He gives her a lot of work and leaves. When Gian is leaving, we see that a girl named Ji Chu is again taking his photos. Just then, Xiao Zui comes to her. They already know each other. Just then, Gian also arrives, and we find out that GQ is actually Jian's cousin, and she runs a fan club in Jian's name. She clicks Jian's latest photos and sells them to girls because his photos are in very high demand among girls. But Gian takes her camera and leaves. Then Professor Jian's lecture begins, where Chinian was sitting under his table. She had come with her name written in various ways to make Gian remember her name. Actually, Gian never remembered anyone's name, but Chinian wanted him to remember her name. Seeing her, Gian drops his pencil and says to her, "What are you doing?" Then he goes close to her and kisses her. Just then, Chinian's eyes open, and she was only seeing all this in a dream. Meanwhile, Professor Gian tells his cousin GQ, "You should say sorry to Chinian for putting your memory card in her bag." Then, taking her camera, he starts looking at his photos in it, in which Chinian was also with him. Just then, someone from behind asks him, "Who is this girl?" Gian says, "This is Chinian." This was the first time that Gian had remembered someone's name. Then we see Chinian, who comes and sits under the table to make her dream come true. When Professor Gian arrives there, he doesn't react at all to her actions. So Chinian says, "I was just looking for something here." Then she goes and sits on a seat and starts thinking, "In these 7 days, I will definitely make Gian remember my name." She had written her name on her shirt. Whenever Gian called her, she would go and stand in front of him. On his coffee, on his papers, she even put her name and photo on his laptop wallpaper. Gian starts getting annoyed by this. Chinian comes to Jiyan's office for some work, where she meets GQ and also says sorry to her. Chinian also finds out that GQ is Jiyan's cousin, so she gets information about Gian from GQ, asking her, how can I impress him? GQ tells her many things and also tells her reputation is very important for Gian. Chinian thanks her for all this and returns her memory card. Then when Gian comes to the university, everyone is praising Chinian, saying she is very good and does her work very well. Then he comes to the office and sees that Chinian had completed all the work he had given her. Then he starts looking for Gian, who he finds outside. It was raining heavily outside, so Gian asks her to come under his umbrella and says, I've been hearing your name since morning, so did you do all this to make me remember your name? Just then, a car splashes water on them. They both get wet. Then they both come to the office where Gian gives Chinian clothes to change, and they both change their clothes one by one. Then Gian asks her, tell me, what is your motive for becoming my assistant? Chinian explains, there are two reasons for it. One simple, one complicated. The complicated reason is that I have fallen in love with you at first sight, so I want to be with you always. And the second simple reason is that I need you. To this, Gian says, does anyone confess their love like this? It would be better if you tell me the whole truth. She comes forward to say something, but she accidentally bumps into Gian. Just then, Gian's grandpa arrives and asks, Gian, are you dating your student? But Chinian explains, I am not a student. I have already graduated and I also have a job. Grandpa is very happy to see Chinian and says, you two will make a great couple. At this, Gian starts to leave. So Grandpa says, I have arranged many blind dates for you, and if you don't have a girlfriend, you will have to go there. So tell me, do you have a girlfriend? At this, Gian looks towards Chinian. Chinian starts acting like Jiyan's girlfriend in front of Grandpa and tells him, Gian is only mine, and I take responsibility for him. Hearing this, Grandpa becomes happy. Now that Chinian has become Jiyan's fake girlfriend, she starts asking for advice from her friend on how she can be a good girlfriend. The next day, Chinian writes the rest of the comic and sends it, but Joshin doesn't like it. She says, romance is still missing in this. Chinian says, how will romance come when Gian doesn't even come close to me? Joshin explains, if you don't get close to him, how will you fall in love with him? And you won't be able to write a good comic either. Chinian asks, isn't there any other way to write a good comic? Joshin tells her about some of her friends. She says, you might get some ideas by meeting them. To meet them, Chinian goes to a cafe, where we see Jisiki, who works part-time in this cafe, but he has wanted to be a cartoonist since childhood. Chinian tells everyone there, I want to write a girl manga, but I don't understand how to write it. Hearing this, Jisiki makes fun of her and says, if you don't know how to write this, then you should give up on it. And he starts behaving very rudely with her, which makes Chinian very upset, and she leaves from there. But after she leaves, Jisiki realizes that he said too much. At night, Chinian goes to get her favorite noodles, of which only one is left. Just then, from the other side, Jisiki also puts his hand on it, and both start fighting for one noodle. But then Chinian takes the noodles. They are both going home. On the way, Jisiki says sorry to her, and then both go their separate ways. But then they stop in front of the same house and take out their keys from their pockets, saying, this is my house. Chinian finds out that Jisiki is her new roommate. Then Chinian sits down to eat noodles when Jisiki comes there and says, all my money was spent on getting this room, and now I don't even have money for food. Chinian understands that he is also hungry, so she offers him noodles, and they eat noodles together. Then Chinian gives him her comic to read, and after reading it, Jisiki understands that this is a real story. Chinian tells him, this is my friend's story. Jisiki explains, to write a good comic, you need to know about romance well, for which you should have past experience or you have to involve yourself in this story. For this, you will have to fall in love with the male lead of this story. Only then will you be able to write a good manga. Even after this, Chinian doesn't understand anything properly. Jisiki tells her, you should get ready nicely and go in front of the male lead. Chinian does the same and goes to Professor Gian very well dressed and tells him, I like you. Gian says, you said that before too. And then he asks her to close her eyes and think about her favorite thing. At this, Chinian thinks about fried chicken. So Gian says, see, you like fried chicken more than me. Then he gives her his card and tells her, bring fried chicken. Chinian is bringing fried chicken when she meets Jiyan's old assistants, who surround Chinian and say, Jiyan fired us in a day or two, so how have you lasted for 7 days? So now stay away from him. or it won't be good. They all start troubling Chinian, so she also comes with a stick to fight them. But this scares all of them, and they say, "We didn't come to fight you, we were just explaining to you." And one by one, everyone starts sharing their sorrow with Chinian, about how Gian used to make them work so much, and also about his ex-girlfriend. Chinian was listening to their sorrows while distributing fried chicken to everyone. Just then, Gian also arrives and starts smiling, seeing Chinian like this. Then Chinian finds out that she has to submit 3 drafts of the comic by tomorrow, so she immediately goes home and starts her work. She works all night, due to which her health deteriorates. When she was going to the kitchen, she faints and falls. When Jisiki hears her fall, he immediately comes there and lifts her up and lays her in the bedroom. He sees that Chinian has a high fever, so he tells her, "You should rest." But Chinian says, "I have a lot of work," so Jisiki says, "I will help you." Then they both get to work. Just then, Chinian gets a call from Jiyan's assistant. She tells Chinian, "Jiyan's file is corrupted. If you have any copy of it, please send it." Chinian had a copy of half the presentation, so she starts completing it, and after completing it, she gives it to Gian. But due to her illness, she faints right there. When she opens her eyes, she is in the hospital, where Gian is also with her. Chinian finds out that Gian canceled his important meeting to bring her here. Hearing this, Chinian feels bad, but Gian explains to her, "You don't need to feel guilty. Just as you completed the presentation, even after being sick and brought it here, I also helped you and canceled the meeting, so don't think too much about it." Then they both come to the bus stop. In the bus, when Chinian gets pushed, she comes close to Gian, and everyone starts looking at them. But just then, Chinian proposes to him, which surprises everyone. Gian tells her, "Is this something to announce that you are saying it here, in front of everyone?" He asks, "When did you fall in love with me?" Chinian says, "Just now." Gian says, "It hasn't even been 5 minutes since we got together." Chinian says, "I am not forcing you. You can answer this when you feel I am worthy of you." Gian says, "No, I will give you the answer right now." Then he goes close to her and whispers in her ear, "I have no interest in love." Chinian says, "I know I can't get you so easily, but I am not going to let you go that easily." Jian's stop comes, and he leaves from there. Just then, Chinian gets a call from the office. She goes to the office and quickly starts apologizing. "I'm sorry, I haven't completed the work." But Jo Shin tells her, "You completed the work an hour before the deadline." Then Chinian remembers that Jisiki must have completed her work. Seeing today's drawing, Jo Shin also understood that this drawing was not made by Chinian. So she tells her, "Whoever made today's drawing, you have to make him your assistant." Then we see Jisiki at his shop. He draws his favorite comic on a coffee and gives it to a girl named Lu Qing. Seeing the drawing, Lu Qing refuses to drink the coffee because she didn't like that comic. But actually, that comic was written by Lu Qing, but for some reason, she doesn't like it. She tells Jisiki, "This comic is not good. It has gone out of fashion." Hearing this, Jisiki gets angry and starts fighting with her because he was a huge fan of that comic. But his manager goes and stops him. Then we see Chinian, who is telling Jo Shin about her proposal. Just then, she finds Jiyan's farm card in her pocket. Seeing it, Chinian remembers that when Jiyan put his phone in her pocket, he also put the card with it. She immediately goes to the farm to meet him, but Jiyan is not there. There, a friend of Jiyan tells her that he would be at his house, and he gives a file and asks her, "Please deliver this to Jiyan." Taking the file, Chinian goes to Jiyan's house and starts imagining how he would look in his home clothes. But just then, Xiaozui arrives there. In a little while, Jiyan also arrives there. He takes the file and calls Chinian inside. Then Chinian and Xiaozui introduce themselves to each other, and they start talking, which Jiyan is also listening to. She tells Xiao, "Add me on WeChat so that I can find out about Jiyan from you when needed." But just then, Jiyan stops her and tells him, "I am hungry. You serve the food." When Chinian serves the food, she finds it very bad, so she says, "From now on, the responsibility of food is mine." To which Jiyan agrees. After Xiaozui leaves, Chinian starts looking around his entire house. There was also a basement there. Chinian was about to go into the basement, but Jiyan stops her and then takes her down and starts telling her some rules for staying here. The first rule was that Chinian should not interfere in his work. The second rule was that going into the restricted area is forbidden. And third, as long as she stays here, she will have to sleep in the guest room and she will not come out of her room. Then, as night falls, Jiyan kicks her out of his house. The next day, Chinian tells Jisiki about the continuation of her comic story. She says, "There is a basement in the male lead's house where he has forbidden the female lead from going." At this, Jisiki tells her a story. He says, "There was a king named Bluebeard who married his queen and brought her to his palace and gave her all the keys to the palace. One of them was the key to a secret room where the king had forbidden her to go. For a few days, the queen did not go there, but she could not control her curiosity for long and went into that room. There, the king had killed his previous wives and collected their bones. As soon as the king finds out that the queen has broken her promise, he kills her too and puts her there. Hearing this story, Gian gets scared. Siki says, the male lead must want to test your friend to see if she can control her curiosity or not. Then, when Gian goes to Jian's house, she starts getting strange thoughts about that room. Going home, she makes a lot of sweet dishes for Siki because Siki liked sweets. But he understands that Kinian must want some favor from him, so he asks, what do you want from me? Kinian says, you draw so well, then why don't you become a professional artist? Siki says, I have the skill, but not the talent. And if someone doesn't have talent, they should give up that work. Then he says, when I ran away from home, my elder brother said, if you want to do this, you will never be successful. And today, I realized the truth in his words. Saying all this, Siki was feeling very demotivated. So Kinian holds his hand and takes him inside and shows him his drawing, saying, everyone in my office praised this drawing of yours a lot. Then Kinian asks him, how do you write comics? He explains, whatever comes to my mind, I add my feelings to it and write. Kinian says, these ideas come to your mind on their own, but people like us get tired of thinking about all this. Then if this is not talent, what is it? So you should not hide your talent within yourself. That's why I want you to participate in the fresh work competition with me. Siki says, I need time to think about this, because this work requires a lot of focus. For this, I will have to leave all my part-time jobs. Kinian says, okay, from now on, you are my partner. Then we see Lu Qing, who goes to Siki's cafe and asks about him. But when she doesn't find Siki, she gets a little upset. Then she goes and starts talking to her director. She says, I really like handsome and talented boys. That's why I was looking for that boy. If I find him, I will give him a job in my company. The director says, you will have to collect more fresh talent so that you can grow further with their talent. Here, the company where Siki had applied had sent him a job offer, and now he has to go for an interview. Siki tells them, I have lost my ID card, so can I still come? To this they say, you will have to apply again, and this time with your original documents. At this, Siki gets worried because his original documents are at his brother's house. Then we see Xinian and Jihu. Both are in Jian's house. Xinian is asking her about the secret room where Jian wouldn't let her go. Jihu explains, I don't know what's there either, but once when I was little, I went into that room, and Jian got very angry and didn't talk to me for many days. And I saw a telephone there that he brought from his old house. I think maybe he is waiting for someone's call on that phone. Someone who left him many years ago. Just then, they hear the sound of a telephone, which was coming from the same room where Jian had forbidden them to go. Jihu didn't have the courage to go there, but Xinian thinks it might be an important call, so she goes inside and picks up the call. But by then, the call had been cut. She calls back on that number, but no one answers the call. And we see that this call came from the same call booth outside, which Siki was standing just a while ago, meaning Siki is Jian's brother, who had run away from home a few years ago. Xinian is about to leave after putting down the phone when Jian arrives and grabs her hand, taking her outside. Xinian says, I'm sorry, to him, but Gian leaves without saying anything. He goes to his office and starts working, where Xinian had written a sorry song for him. But he doesn't talk to her all day. At night, when Xinian was leaving his house, suddenly all the lamps turn on, which Gian had done. Because a few days ago, when Xinian was leaving here in the dark, she had fallen. From this, we learn that Gian has also started to care a little for Xinian. Then, Xinian goes home and tells Siki, my friend went into the male lead's secret room, even after he told her not to. The next day, when Xinian comes to Jian's house, she finds out that his health is very bad. Xinian says, I found out about your health from GQ, so I came here. But if you don't like me being here, I will leave. Gian pulls her towards him, but due to weakness, they both fall. Then Xinian stands up and says, sorry to him for that day. Gian puts his hand on her head and says, okay, don't make such a mistake again. Then, after taking medicine, Gian comes to an opening award ceremony, where Xinian was also with him. Right after the opening, he starts feeling sleepy, so Xinian takes him aside. Gian explains, I might have taken the wrong medicine because the fever and sleeping pills were kept together. Xinian says, I will take you to the hospital, but Gian says, if I leave this event like this, those people will feel bad. And anyway, this bookstore belongs to my friend. Then Xinian supports him and takes him to the terrace so that he can rest there alone for a while. But there he lies down in her lap and tells her, don't let me sleep, you keep talking to me. Then we see Lu Qing, whose book signing award event was happening, where Siki had also come. Siki asks her about the Thundercloud comic, so Lu Qing explains, I didn't want to write that comic, I just had to write it under the company's pressure. She also criticizes it a lot, which Jisiki doesn't like because it was his favorite comic. Chinian was telling Gian, I am a cartoonist and I write comics. I write comics under the name Baby 7, but earlier I used to write comics under the name 7 Seas. From this, we find out that she had written the Thundercloud comic. Everyone was asking Lu Qing questions about her upcoming comic when Jisiki asks, is Thundercloud your work? At this, everyone starts looking at him, wondering what kind of question is this? Lu Qing says, yes, that is my comic. Then Jisiki starts asking her many more questions about it, which Lu Qing is unable to answer. From this, Jisiki realizes that it is not her work. He also tells her this, if it were your comic, you would continue it. Hearing this, Lu Qing gets very angry because her truth was coming out in front of everyone. So she sends her bodyguard after Jisiki, and he has to run from there. Here, Gian had fallen asleep when Xinian gets a call from Jisiki. He asks for her help, and then he finds out that Xinian is also here. Xinian tells him, come to the terrace, and leaves Gian sleeping there to go find Jisiki. But she locks the door so that no one can get to Gian. And just then, Gian starts to regain consciousness a little. Here we see Jisiki, who is coming upstairs. He calls his brother, but Jiqiu picks up the call, so he hangs up. But just then, Gian sees him there. But the door was locked, which Gian breaks and runs towards him. But by then, Jisiki had left in the lift. Meanwhile, Chinian was looking for him when she meets Lu Qing. Lu Qing is very surprised to see her. Then, we are shown a flashback scene where Chinian was drawing on a board. Seeing her drawing, Lu Qing offers her to draw a comic together. And then, they both write the Thundercloud comic together. But when the comic was released, Chinian's name was nowhere to be found. And when the comic won an award, only Lu Qing went to receive it, and she had taken full credit for the comic herself. In the present, Chinian doesn't talk to her and starts to leave when Jisiki sends her a voice note, which Lu Qing hears and recognizes, and says, you were the one who sent that boy there today, right? Saying this, she shows Chinian a video of Jisiki. Seeing it, Chinian says, I don't know anything about this. But Lu Qing doesn't believe her and sends her bodyguards to catch Jisiki. Just then, Gian arrives and takes Chinian with him. Then we see Lu Qing in her office, who was very angry watching Jisiki's video because that video had gone viral and everyone was questioning her. Just then, her assistant brings Jisiki's details and gives them to her and also shows his drawings, which were very good. That's why now Lu Qing wanted to call him to her company at any cost. So she sends a job offer to Jisiki from her company. Meanwhile, Jisiki was sitting in the park. When he sees this mail, he becomes very happy. Seeing that he got a job in such a big company, he asks his cousin GQ, can you bring my documents? Just then, Gian arrives, because he had found out about him from GQ. Then Gian takes him to a cafe and talks to him. He offers him a job in his company, but Jisiki was still very angry with him, so he refuses. When he doesn't agree, Gian gives him his documents. He takes them and is about to leave when Gian orders his favorite pastry. But Jisiki is not eating, so Gian lies and says it's free. So he eats it. Then Gian starts lecturing him that since Jisiki ran away from home, he hasn't done anything with his life. According to him, being a cartoonist is not a career. So Gian wants him to take over his company, but Jisiki doesn't agree to this. Jisiki shows him his interview call letter. So Gian says, if you get this job, I will never bother you again. But if that doesn't happen, you will have to come back home and join the company. Jisiki agrees to this. Gian comes home and sees that Chinian has fallen asleep on the sofa. He picks her up and lays her in the guest room. Then he goes to take his sleepwalking medication and finds out that it's finished. So he goes to sleep like that. At night, when Chinian wakes up, she sees that Gian is sleeping next to her. She thinks, maybe I accidentally came into his room. But then she sees that she is in her guest room. She tries to move him, but he kisses her on the forehead and goes back to sleep. Chinian understands that he is sleepwalking. The next morning, when both are having breakfast, Chinian is very sleepy. Gian asks, what happened? Didn't you sleep well last night? Hearing this, Chinian gets very angry at him. Then we are shown a flashback scene where, in the middle of the night, Gian had woken up again and taken her blanket and gone outside. Chinian was also following him. He locks Chinian's room, puts the key in his pocket, and goes to his room to sleep. Chinian tries to take the key from him, but she can't. So she keeps sitting by his bed. In the morning, Jisiki goes for an interview at the company, but when he sees Lu Qing there, he is a bit surprised, and he leaves from there without giving the interview. But on the way, he is very upset because he had made a bet with his brother. So he thinks, I should run away from here. But it was too late. Gian had already reached him. Lu Qing finds out that her latest comic has been overtaken by another comic that is #1, which is a comic written by Chinian. but Lu Qing doesn't know about this yet. On the other side, everyone in Qinian's company is celebrating this. Gian is taking Jisiki with him when Qinian calls him and tells him, "Our comic is at #1. Then she asks him to become her partner in her work and says, "Join our company quickly." Hearing this, Jisiki becomes very happy. Before he could reply to Qinian, Gian takes the phone, puts him in the car, and then starts talking to Qinian. He asks, "What is your relationship with Jisiki?" Qinian explains, "I am his partner." Gian tells her, "If you can't help him, then don't give him false hope either." Qinian says, "You can give me full responsibility for him. I will take care of him." But just then, Gian cuts the call. He sees that Qinian's number was saved in Jisiki's phone as "My Crush." But still, Jisiki reaches Qinian's company and signs the contract. There, he also finds out that the comic Qinian has just written is not based on her friend's story but on her own real story. Hearing this, he is shocked and calls Qinian to come home. Qinian is just leaving when she hears something fall from Jian's room. She goes into the room and sees that Gian had fallen down. His sleepwalking medicine was also kept there. Also in his diary, he had written about his sleepwalking. From this, she learns that if he doesn't rest properly, he will continue to have such sleepwalking episodes. She tries to lift him up and put him on the bed, but just then, Gian starts kissing her. But just then, Jian's eyes open. So Qinian moves away from him and says, "It was just an accident," and immediately runs away from there. Jisiki had come to pick her up from outside. Jisiki had no idea that this was his brother's house. He puts a helmet on Qinian and asks her to sit on his scooter. By then, Gian also comes out and sees them both. They both have a lot of fun and reach home late at night, but their scooter's brake had failed, and it wouldn't stop there. So they both go for another round of the city. But the battery dies on the way, so they push the scooter home and go into the same house together. Gian was also following them and was watching all this. He asks the watchman standing there about them, "Do they live together?" At this, the watchman says, "Yes, they are a very loving couple." Hearing this, Gian gets very jealous. He immediately calls Mainian, gives her some work, and calls her home. Kanyan immediately takes a taxi and leaves for home, but Gian gets her stuck in traffic, goes ahead himself, and quickly changes his clothes and sits on the sofa so that Qinian doesn't find out that he was following her. When Qinian arrives, Gian takes a deep breath and opens the door. He sees that Qinian is wearing the same shirt that Jisiki was wearing today. He asks her about this, so Qinian says, "I ordered this online, but it's a little big." Then he tells her to work. And the work was that Qinian had to sharpen 20 pencils, and that too with a knife. Doing this, Qinian gets very bored. Then Gian asks, "I called you so many times, why didn't you answer?" Qinian tells him, "My roommate bought an electric bike. We both went for a ride around the city to enjoy it." Gian asks, "Is it fun on an electric bike?" Qinian says, "Yes, it's a lot of fun." The next morning, when Qinian comes out, she sees Gian standing with an electric bike. Qinian is surprised to see this and asks, "Are you going to the office on this?" Gian says, "Yes, and you will drive." Qinian happily sits on the bike and asks Gian, "Which route would you like to take?" He says, "The same route you two took last night." Qinian says, "Your office is not on that route." Gian says, "It's okay, today we'll take a little detour to the office." Then they both start for the office. But the bike's battery dies on the way. Gian tells her, "It has pedals too." Then poor Qinian has to pedal him to the office. Then they both reach the office where everyone is very surprised to see Gian and Qinian together, because this was the first time that Gian had brought a girl to the office with him. Jisiki calls Qinian and says, "You didn't come home last night either. Your boss is so mean. He makes you work day and night. I will call his office and complain, and if that doesn't work, I will protest." Saying this, he cuts the call. Meanwhile, Jiyan's assistant tells him, "Some person has been calling repeatedly since morning and complaining about you." Jiyan understands that it is Jisiki, so he calls some Miss Wang. On the other side, we see Jisiki when Miss Wang arrives, who is their landlady. She tells Jisiki, "You will have to vacate this house soon because my daughter is getting married, but you shouldn't worry because I will find 2 different houses for you. And anyway, it's not right for a boy and a girl to live together." Miss Wang goes outside and calls Jiyan, saying, "I did as you said," and thanks him for buying that house, where Jisiki lives now, and that too at a very high price. Jiyan did all this because he didn't want to see Qinian and Jisiki together. Here, in Qinian's company, their boss was about to arrive. When she sees her boss, she is surprised because it is Jiyan's friend, Xiaozui. Lu Qing had also come there, who was waiting for Xiaozui. She wanted to buy Qinian's comic because it was becoming very popular. Xiaozui tells her, "It's not possible, but you can try." Saying this, Xiaozui leaves. Just then, Chinian arrives, and seeing her makes Lu Qing very angry because she didn't know that the writer of Baby 7 was Gian, and then Chinian also refuses to sell her comic to her because she has already been deceived by her once. At night, Gian tells Gian that they have to go on a business trip tomorrow, so he asks Gian to stay there tonight. She calls and tells Jisiki, "I am going to South City with Gian." Jisiki also wanted to go with her. On the way, he meets Lu Qing, who gives him a lift in her car, but halfway through her car breaks down and they both get stuck in a village. Then a bullock cart arrives there, and now they had no other option, so they had to go on it. On the way, Jisiki sees Chinian's recent post on his phone, in which she had written, "I want to see the fireworks." Lu Qing asks, "Did you come here for this, girl?" He doesn't reply to this, so she again starts convincing him to join her company, but Jisiki refuses. Meanwhile, when Gian sees Chinian's post, he books 2 tickets for the carnival so that he can take Chinian to see the fireworks. On the other side, we see Jisiki and Lu Qing, who take a taxi and leave to see the carnival. Meanwhile, Gian and Chinian are wandering around the architecture building and clicking their pictures. After a lot of wandering, Gian takes her to the carnival. Chinian is very happy to go there. Meanwhile, we see Jisiki and Lu Qing, who had already reached the carnival and were enjoying the rides there. And seeing Chinian's post, Jisiki was thinking that she would definitely come here. Just then, Lu Qing asks him, "Do you like her?" At first, he denies it, but when Lu Qing asks repeatedly, he accepts, "Yes, I like her." And then he tells Lu Qing, "Stay away from me." But after separating from him, Lu Qing gets lost there. She doesn't understand where to go now. But just then, Jisiki comes and helps her. Just then, he sees that her feet are bleeding, so he runs to get a bandage for her. Seeing this, Lu Qing feels very good that he is caring for her. Then we see Gian and Chinian, where Chinian was asking to go on different rides, but Gian was refusing, saying, "This is not safe, that is not safe." Then Chinian asks him to get a toy from the claw machine. After much request, Gian agrees, but he can't get a single toy and says, "This is all for kids." Then we see Lu Qing and Jisiki, where Lu Qing gets a slipper from the claw machine for him in one go, which impresses Lu Qing a lot, and she puts her feet forward to wear the slipper. At this, Jisiki says, "Are you crazy? I'm not going to do that." Lu Qing says, "Okay, then I won't wear this slipper either." At this, Jisiki makes her wear the slipper because her foot was already injured. Here, Gian and Chinian are enjoying dinner at a restaurant, where Chinian drinks quite a lot because she knew that Gian was there to take care of her. Just then, the fireworks start. Here we see Jisiki and Lu Qing, who were coming to see the fireworks while eating cotton candy. Lu Qing's foot was hurting, so she was limping. So Jisiki puts her on his back. Chinian was saying, "Look at the fireworks, they are so beautiful." So Gian starts explaining to her, "This is just fire chemistry." At this, Chinian gets annoyed and says, "That's enough, I don't want to hear all this." Gian asks, "Then what do you want to hear?" Chinian says, "Let it be, you will never say what I want to hear." Just then, Gian says, "I like you." And as he says this, he kisses her. And Jisiki, standing below, also sees all this and gets quite upset. The next morning, Chinian finds out that Gian and Jisiki are brothers. Chinian says, "You two are brothers. Why didn't you ever tell me?" Gian says, "This is my brother who ran away from home." At this, Jisiki says, "Is that only your home?" Gian says, "Yes, not just the house. Your roommate is also mine." At this, everyone starts looking at him, so Gian says, she is my assistant." Just then, Gian gets a call from GQ. She says, "Grandpa's health is very bad," so they both run to the hospital. Jisiki starts crying, seeing Grandpa, at which Grandpa hits him on the head and says, "Why are you crying so much? I'm not dead yet." Just then, everyone else comes inside, and the grandparents are very happy to see both brothers together. Then they find out from the doctor that Grandpa has cancer. Gian tells Jisiki, "Until Grandpa's operation is successful and he is well like before, you will have to stay with me." At this, Jisiki has to agree for Grandpa's sake, even though he doesn't want to, and he takes all his belongings and comes to Jiyan's house. Gian starts telling him the rules of staying here, but Jisiki doesn't follow any of his rules. He agrees to stay here on only one condition, as long as she stays here. Chinian will also have to stay here. At this, Gian and Chinian also agree. When Jisiki started living at their house, Gian made him do all the household chores, cleaning the house, washing clothes, and even cleaning his dog's poop. He got very annoyed with this and asks Chinian, "How do you live with him?" She says, "He's very nice." Jisiki says, "Yes, he used to take great care of me in childhood too, but then my parents got divorced, Mom went to America, and my dad suddenly went missing. Since then, Gian has become very strict with me. Then Ji-Siki goes out, so Gian tells Chinian, today is Ji-Siki's birthday, but he doesn't celebrate his birthday. But if you convince him, maybe he will agree. Then we see Ji-Siki, who has come alone to get a cake. Just then, his classmates come and start making fun of him. You haven't changed at all, you are still alone like before. Then we are shown a flashback scene where his classmates used to always trouble him about his parents' divorce and his brother. In the present, Ji-Siki was about to start a fight with them when Lu Qing arrives and tells them that she is Ji-Siki's girlfriend. Seeing such a pretty girl with him, his friends can't say anything more and leave from there. Then we see Chinian, who was taking off the bedsheet when her foot slips, and she is about to fall, but Gian comes and catches her, but he also falls with her. Then we see Ji-Siki, where he was standing with his cake. Then we are shown a flashback scene in which Ji-Siki is about to celebrate his 16th birthday when Gian arrives and asks him about the fight at school today, and says, "Why did you leave school?" Ji-Siki explains, "They were the ones who troubled me first, and from now on, I won't go to school. I will become a cartoonist." Hearing this, Gian gets very angry and ruins his entire toy collection. Ji-Siki also throws his cake and leaves from there. After that day, he never celebrated his birthday. When Ji-Siki comes home, Chinian surprises him. He is a little happy to see this when she tells him, "Gian helped me with all this." Hearing this, Ji-Siki gets angry and also throws the gift given by Gian. Chinian tries to explain to him, "Gian still loves you very much. He cares for you." But Ji-Siki says, if that's the case, then why didn't he apologize for his mistake? The next day, Grandpa was going to have an operation, so Ji-Siki was taking extra care of him. Grandpa tells him, "Why are you all so worried? It's just a small operation." Ji-Siki says, "If your last wish is for me to stay with Gian, then I will forgive him." But just then, Ji-Siki finds out that Grandpa doesn't have cancer, but Gian had planned all this to keep him with him. Just then, Gian arrives there with the doctor and takes Grandpa for surgery. As soon as they leave, Ji-Siki grabs Gian's collar, but Gian says sorry to him and says, "I wanted to sort out our old fight. That's why I lied. And I apologize for everything wrong I have done to you till today." Hearing this, Ji-Siki can't say anything. Then he goes home and opens the gift that Gian had given him. Inside it, he finds a photo of a cupboard. When he opens that cupboard, he's very surprised. Then we see him in a convenience store, where he was sitting and drinking a cold drink and was very upset because he had realized that Gian loves him very much. But until now, he had ignored his brother's love. Then we are shown that when Ji-Siki had opened that cupboard, inside it was the entire collection of rare toys that Gian had destroyed a few years ago. Even after that company closed, Gian had collected all these things. Just then, Lu Qing arrives and brings him ice cream. She tries to cheer up Ji-Siki by talking. Then Ji-Siki goes home and tells Grandpa, "Now, I will also handle the business like Gian." Just then, Gian and Chinian also arrive there. Grandpa says, now everything is settled, so they don't need to work. They can enjoy their lives and fulfill their dreams. And he says, I have hired a manager to handle the business. Just then, Lily arrives, whom Grandpa had made the manager of their company. Lily was Jian's ex-girlfriend. Then we are shown a beach scene where everyone has come. There, Chinian dresses up nicely and goes in front of Gian, but just then, her dress gets caught in her foot and tears a little. Seeing this, Gian takes off his shirt and ties it around her waist. Then we see Chinian and Jiqiu talking. She was telling Chinian, you should flirt with Gian, because now his ex-girlfriend has also arrived. So when Chinian goes into the tent with Gian, Jiqiu locks them from outside and runs away. Gian asks her, what are you doing here? So Chinian says, I am wearing a bikini. Would you like to see? Hearing this, Gian turns his face to the other side and tells her, come back wearing clothes. Just then, Chinian removes her towel, and we see that she is only wearing a bikini-printed shirt. Then, she pulls Gian towards her, but they fall, and she goes close to Gian and starts kissing him when a ball hits Gian on the head, and Chinian's plan is cancelled. So she goes outside and scolds the children who threw the ball. Then, Jiqiu puts bracelets on both of them and says, you both have 24 hours to open this bracelet. You can only open it when both your heartbeats are very fast, and if you go far from each other, its timing will increase even more. So Gian starts running so that his heartbeat gets faster, and this bracelet opens. But Chinian says, if you keep running like this, we will get farther apart, and this bracelet will never open. Chinian sees some couples there, so she gets an idea that she will do some romantic exercises with Gian. But Gian makes her do some completely different exercises. At this, Chinian gets angry with him. Then at night, Gian asks her, why did you get angry with me today? And what were you trying to do today? At this, Chinian was feeling very embarrassed, and she tells Gian, what happened today? Can you forget it? So Gian says, I want to give you a chance. You can do whatever you want to do. Then they have a kiss, and due to the fast heartbeat, the bracelet opens. On the other side, we see Lu Qing, who has brought Ji-Siki to a very beautiful place. Jisiki is very happy to see it. Lu Qing asks him, "Do you still hate me?" At this, he says no. Hearing this, Lu Qing starts pinching his cheeks. Then we see Qinian sleeping in her office. Then Joshin tells her, "Your new comic, Dress for the Beauty, is about to be published." And she also says, "I have also sent some of its drafts to Jian's office." Hearing this, Qinian gets very scared and starts running towards Jian's office so that he doesn't see this book. Then we see Jian's assistant, who is just going to Jian's office with these books when Qinian stops him. So the assistant tells Qinian, "You shouldn't try so hard to impress Jian, because he and Lily are about to get engaged." At this, Qinian gets a little upset, but then she thinks, no, Jian can't do that. But just then, she sees Jian and Lily hugging in front of her. Seeing this, she gets very upset and starts believing the assistant's words. At night, we see Qinian, who was packing all her belongings and leaving Jian's house. Jian comes and asks her, "Where are you going?" She lies to him, "I have some family problems." Then she puts the key to his house and that comic in front of him, says sorry to him, and explains, "In the beginning, I came close to you because I needed some inspiration for my comic, and that's why I wanted to stay with you. Please forgive me for that." But Jian stops her and asks, "Until you tell me your mistake properly, I won't let you leave from here." Qinian says, "My mistake is that I tried too hard to approach you. I should have told you my motive earlier. The closer I got to you, the more I started to like you. Now I can't draw anything without you." So Jian asks, "Then why are you leaving?" Qinian says, "Now you are getting engaged. And anyway, I was just your fake girlfriend. So there's no point in me staying here anymore. I tried very hard to win your love, but I couldn't succeed." As soon as she reaches the gate, Jian grabs her and starts kissing her. And at that exact moment, Jisiki also arrives there with Lu Qing and gets very upset seeing them both. Jian takes Qinian inside. Jisiki runs away, so Lu Qing also goes after him. Then Jian and Qinian have come somewhere for dinner. Jian asks Qinian, "Will you date me?" Then we see Qinian with her friend because she still couldn't believe that Jian likes her and has confessed his love. So she takes advice from her friend about what she should do. So her friends say that she should go and confirm it with Jian herself. The next day, she goes to Jian's house and asks him, "Did you accept my love because I have been chasing you for a long time?" She starts saying a lot of strange things, which makes Jian a little angry. But he says, "I only confessed my love because I like you." Hearing this, Qinian becomes happy, and they both hug. Then Qinian also adds this scene to her comic. Then we see Lu Qing, who was lost in thoughts of Jisiki and was missing him a lot. The next day, we see Ji Chu, who is working at Qinian's company. She tells Joshin Jisiki can't draw anything properly now, and his style has also changed a lot. She also discusses this with Qinian, but she didn't know anything about it. GQ asks her, "Does Jisiki know about you and Jiyan's dating?" Qinian asks, "What does this have to do with Jisiki's work?" So Jicho tells her, "Don't you know Jisiki likes you?" Then we see Jisiki drawing romantic moments for the comic. But then he remembers the kissing scene between Qinian and Jiyan, and he gets jealous, which is why he can't draw properly. Just then, he gets a message from Lu Qing, which lifts his mood a little, and he sends a voice message to Lu Qing, asking her, "Can we meet?" Seeing this, Lu Qing becomes very happy and immediately comes to meet him. Lu Qing is eating cookies when Jisiki takes one from her mouth, which messes up her lipstick. Then, Lu Qing says, "Apply my lipstick." But Jisiki can't do this. His hands start shaking. Seeing this, Lu Qing tells him, "Why do you do things that hurt you?" He doesn't understand what she's trying to say, so Lu Qing says clearly, "Why do you draw the romantic scenes of Qinian and Jiyan when you don't want to do it?" Jisiki says, "This is my job." Saying this, he starts drawing again. Then Lu Qing comes to drop him home and tries to explain to him, "You shouldn't draw comics in this state." So Jisiki says, "You are not qualified to say all this to me, because you also just want to use me. Otherwise, why are you always chasing me?" Lu Qing tells him, "If I just wanted to use you, I have many handsome employees in my company too. But I am after you because I like you. But forget it, because you won't understand all this." Saying this, she starts to leave. When Jisiki reaches home, Qinian is there. She tells him, "We haven't had dinner together for a long time, so why don't we have dinner together today? And I will make hot pot." Then they both have dinner together. Jisiki was forcing himself to eat spicy hot pot, even though he liked sweet things. At this, Qinian also says the same thing. "We shouldn't do things that we can't do." And then she says, "Sometimes we should clear things up so that no one gets hurt." Jisiki says, "Why are you being so serious?" Qinian says, "What if I tell you that from now on, you don't need to compromise for me? I mean, from today, you don't need to draw comics for me." Hearing this, Jisiki gets very upset and leaves. Then she calls Lu Qing and tells her, "Please take care of Jisiki and help me fulfill his dream." Lu Qing says, "You were a little too quick to break the contract with him." Qinian says, "If I had delayed any longer, he might not have been able to handle himself." When Lu Qing reaches her home, Ji Siki is sitting outside, very upset. She goes and consoles him and says, "You can stay here tonight." Saying this, she starts taking him inside her house. As she is about to lock the door, Ji Siki grabs her and pushes her against the wall. Lu Qing says, "Do you even know what you are doing? I am not who you think I am." Ji Siki says, "I know I am sober, and you are Lu Qing." Saying this, he kisses her. Then we see Qinian, who had slept at Ji Yan's house last night. Ji Yan brings her a hangover drink. Then we see the scene from last night, where Qinian was very drunk and crying for Ji Siki, because she was feeling bad for him. Ji Yan explains to her that what she did was right. Doing so was necessary for Ji Siki and his future. Then we see Lu Qing. When she wakes up, she sees that Ji Siki has made a very nice breakfast for her. Seeing all this, she couldn't understand what had suddenly happened to Ji Siki. Just then, Ji Siki tells her, "From today, I will date you." Hearing this, Lu Qing is very happy but doesn't react. Then we see Qinian, who meets Lily at the office. Lily tries to brainwash her and instigate her against Gian. "He is just using you. He doesn't love you." Qinian also starts to doubt Gian. So when Gian takes her for lunch, Qinian is not in the mood there either. Gian tells her that he is going to America soon for a business meeting. That's why he is spending time with her. The next day, Qinian was looking for something in the office when Gian comes into his cabin. He gets a call from a girl who calls him baby and says, "I will come to the airport to pick you up." To which Gian says, "Don't worry, we will have plenty of time to spend together in America." Hearing this, Qinian thinks, Gian is cheating on me. Then we see Qinian, who has been working continuously for 3 days, because after Gian left, she was very upset. Seeing her like this, Xiao Zui and Ji Qiu ask her, "What happened?" So Qinian tells them, "Maybe Gian is cheating on me," and she had also brought a graph of the voice recording of that girl with her. Xiao Zui also teases her by saying, yes, you are right," even though he knew everything. Ji Qiu advises her, "You should call Gian and ask him about this." So Qinian says, "I tried calling many times, but his phone is off." At this, GQ says, "Then there must be something wrong." Hearing this, poor Qinian gets even more worried. Then we see Lu Qing at her party, where Ji Siki is sitting and watching her. There, some boys start saying bad things about Lu Qing, which makes Ji Siki angry, and he starts beating them up. Seeing this, some boys stop Ji Siki, and Lu Qing comes to him and tells him, "You shouldn't have done that. If they were talking about me, what's the problem?" Ji Siki says, "I have a problem with it, and I can't tolerate all this." Seeing Ji Siki caring so much for her, Lu Qing feels quite good. Here, Xiao Zui had called Gian and told him everything about Qinian, how big a misunderstanding she had. That's why Gian quickly returns from America. Qinian asks him, "Why did you come back so soon? You were with some beautiful girl in America." Gian says, "Why do you think I was with a girl there?" Qinian tells him, "I heard you talking to her." Gian says, "Okay, here, you talk to that girl too." Saying this, he calls her. Just then, that girl tells Gian, "Honey, you reached home, right?" Qinian gets angry hearing this, but just then Gian tells her, "This girl is none other than my mom who lives in America." Gian introduces his mom to Qinian and says, "This is my girlfriend. When you come to China, I will definitely introduce you to her." Qinian says, "Xiao Zui told me that you were dating a girl in America." Gian explains, "He was just joking with you, and he was the one who told me about your misunderstanding, so that our relationship doesn't get ruined." Then after driving for a long time, Gian brings her to a house and says, "This will be our private place, where we will spend a lot of our memories." Then he tells her, "After meeting you, many changes came in my life, and I changed. The rest of the decision you can take is whether you want to live with me or not." Hearing this, Qinian kisses him and says, "Now do you know what my decision is?" At this, Gian also kisses her. Then, Ji Siki finds out at Lu Qing's office that Lu Qing never writes comics herself. She just gets others to write comics and takes the credit. So he goes to Lu Qing and tells her, "I want to observe your work, because I want to learn something from you." Lu Qing agrees to this and invites him to her house. Here, when Qinian wakes up, she finds out that she was being trolled a lot on the internet, because someone had spread rumors that her comic, Dress for the Beauty, is not original, but a plagiarized work. When Gian finds out about this, he forbids her from going to the autograph session. But Qinian says, "It doesn't matter, because people will only see what they are shown. And this has happened to me before too." Here, when Lu Qing and Ji Siki were working together, in conversation, Ji Siki mentions thundercloud, which makes Lu Qing angry again. Here, Jiyan asks Qinian what happened to her before. Chinian tells him about her comic Thundercloud and Lu Qing, how she had cheated on her. Here, when Lu Qing gets angry, Jisiki comes to pacify her. Lu Qing was drinking in the bathtub, and she tells Jisiki the whole truth, that Lu Qing's partner, Xiaoli, had asked Lu Qing and Chinian to work together. On the other side, Chinian was telling Gian her story. After the comic was completed, it won the Best Comic of the Year award. Lu Qing went to receive it, and Chinian's name was not in the entire comic. Actually, she had fallen into Xiaoli's trap. When she went to give the final work to Xiaoli, Xiaoli had spilled water on her laptop and kept it with him on the pretext of repairing it, and he also took her password from her. Chinian's exams were coming up, so she was focusing on her studies and had stayed away from social media. But after the exams were over, when she opened social media, she found out that Xiaoli and Lu Qing had committed fraud with her. On the other side, Lu Qing was telling all this to Jisiki. She had told this in such a way that Chinian had cheated on her and broken the contract. But actually, neither Lu Qing nor Chinian was at fault in this. This was all Xiaoli's doing. Next, we see that today was Chinian's autograph session, which Gian had organized, and a lot of people also come there, which makes Chinian a little nervous. But Gian gives her courage. Here, Chinian is asked many questions. Replying to one of them, Chinian says, "This comic is written based on my real life, and the Mr. G in this comic is my boyfriend in real life." Just then, a girl asks her, "Can you introduce Mr. G so that the rumors spread on the internet can be proven wrong?" But Chinian refuses to do so because she didn't want all this to affect her and Jian's life. But just then, Gian comes there and introduces himself, telling everyone that he is Chinian's boyfriend. Everyone is shocked to see Gian and starts praising him for being very handsome. Among them, we see a lady who was saying after seeing Gian, he finally confessed his love. After this, we see Chinian and Gian talking. Chinian was very worried because now Gian had revealed his identity. So she was worried thinking that now Gian would also have to face internet trolling. But Gian says, "I don't care about all this anymore." He says romantic things to her and is about to kiss her when a man comes there and tells them, "Our company liked your comic a lot, so we want to convert it into an anime, and our company's boss wants to meet you." Hearing this, Chinian gets very happy. Gian was about to say something to Chinian when Joshin comes there and takes Chinian to take photos with the fans, and she thanks Gian for doing so much for her. Then we see Xiaoli and Lu Qing, who have come to meet the same company's boss, Miss Pei, who had offered to turn Chinian's comic into an anime. Here, Xiaoli talks to them about converting Lu Qing's famous comic into an anime and starts trying to convince them, but Miss Pei says, "We have already chosen someone else's comic." Xiaoli tries to convince them even more, but she doesn't agree. This makes Lu Qing angry, and she starts to leave, but as she is leaving, she bumps into a waitress who was coming to Miss Pei with tea, and the tea accidentally spills on her, which makes her even more angry. The next morning, Lu Qing comes to Jisiki's house. She was missing him a lot, so she hugs him and starts talking. Just then, Miss Pei comes out. We find out that she is Gian and Jisiki's mother, but she starts pretending to be Jisiki's girlfriend in front of Lu Qing, which makes Lu Qing very angry, and she tells Jisiki, "How can you date a lady of your mom's age? Weren't you ashamed even once while doing this?" So Jisiki tells her, "Hey, this is my mom." Just then, Ji-Yun also brings Chi-Nian there, and Chi-Nian also finds out that she is their mom. In the next scene, we see these four in front of their mom, where she changes the positions of these four and says that now it's perfect. Where Chi-Nian was standing next to Jisiki, they both looked equal. On the other hand, Ji-Yan and Lu Qing were also equal to each other. Mom tells Jisiki, "You should stay away from such girls because they only know how to take advantage of boys." But Jisiki says she will never do that. Saying this, he goes to Lu Qing and tells them, "This is my girlfriend." Hearing this, Chi-Nian is also quite shocked because she didn't know about their relationship. Then, she calls Chi-Nian to her and asks, "Do you like Jisiki?" At this, she doesn't say anything, so she herself says, "Jisiki must like you." She puts Jisiki's hand in Chi-Nian's hands and says, "I think you two will make a very good couple." Seeing this, Ji-Yan and Lu Qing say, "Absolutely not." So Mom says, "You two also look very good together." At this, they both again say, "Not at all." Mom asks Jisiki again, "Do you know Lu Qing properly? She doesn't want to take advantage of you, right?" Lu Qing says, "I know you are angry with me, but my love for Jisiki is not fake, and I can do anything to prove it." So she gives them both a camera and says, "You guys have 10 hours. You have to make a vlog of today, and the couple I like the most in this vlog will get my blessing." Then both couples start vlogging, where they accidentally meet at the same place. Then they sit together and start drinking coffee, where no one was talking to each other. Then Chi-Nian asks, "Do you really want Mom's blessing?" Hearing this, Lu Qing holds her hand and says, "Yes, of course, don't we look like a couple?" To which Ji-Yan and Chi-Nian both say, "No." So Jisiki asks, "Do you two look like a couple?" Gian says, no matter what happens, only Xinian will be my wife. Then he takes Jisiki aside to talk. Now that Xinian and Lu Qing were alone, so Xinian talks to her rudely. Lu Qing asks the reason, so Xinian says, after everything you did to me, how can you expect me to talk to you nicely? Lu Qing tries to explain to her that I didn't cheat on you, but Xinian was not ready to listen to anything and starts telling her side of the story. On the other side, Gian was telling Jisiki everything that Lu Qing had done with Xinian. Here, after listening to Xinian's story, Lu Qing understands that Xiao Li did all this, so she tells Xinian, until I sort everything out about this, don't tell Jisiki about this. Then she comes to Xiao Li and asks him, why did you cheat on Xinian? Xiao Li says, I did all this for you, because if she became famous, what would happen to you? And tells her, forget everything that happened before. But Lu Qing doesn't agree to this and gets very angry. She says, I'm ending our partnership. Then when she comes out from there, Jisiki asks her, did you have a hand in whatever happened with Xinian? So Lu Qing says, if I tell you that it's not my fault, will you believe me? But he doesn't give any answer to this and starts to leave. So Lu Qing asks, will you go to Xinian now? And I was the one who told Xinian to fire you. Hearing this, Jisiki gets angry and leaves from there. But Lu Qing starts laughing while crying because now no one was believing her. But the next day, Jisiki brings a voice recorder for her, in which Xinian had asked her to forget all the past things and make a new start. Because Lu Qing was feeling very guilty about this. Hearing this, Lu Qing also feels good because the guilt that was inside her for so many years was now gone. Then we see Xinian, who was outside with Jian's dog. Just then, the dog runs to a person who was the lead actor of the movie being made on Xinian's comic. That person says that he is the ex-owner of this dog, and he also tries to flirt a little with Xinian. He also says, I want to stay with you to understand the story of the comic well, for which Xinian clearly refuses. So he adopts another method and says, I am the ex-owner of this dog, so I will come to meet it. Xinian cannot refuse him for this. Here, when Jisiki comes to the office, he finds out that Lu Qing has canceled all her projects and decided to continue the Thundercloud comic. But Xiao Li tells Jisiki, you will continue all her projects instead of Lu Qing. If Jisiki doesn't do so, Xiao Li will ruin his career. That's why Jisiki agrees to his words and, without telling Lu Qing, starts working on her projects all night. When Lu Qing finds out about this, that Xiao Li is making Jisiki work on her cancelled projects, she locks him inside the room and goes to talk to Xiao Li. Meanwhile, the comic's lead actor had started flirting too much with Xinian, and he was also trying to get close to her again and again. Even in the office, he comes and starts flirting with her. Just then, Zhou Xin arrives and asks him, what are you doing here? So he hides his face from her and leaves from there. Lu Qing tells Xiao Li, terminate my contract, because she didn't want to work with him anymore. At this, Xiao Li threatens her, if you do so, I will ruin your entire reputation. Lu Qing says, do whatever you want, but I can't work with you. Saying this, she goes outside, where she meets Jisiki, and they both leave from there. Xinian is in the office where the same person comes to her again and asks her to play the female lead role, but Xinian refuses, so he starts misbehaving with her. But just then, Gian arrives and tells him the whole truth, that he is not their dog's ex-owner, he is just trying to get close to Xinian on that pretext. Now that all his truth is out, he leaves from there. Then we see Gian and Xinian, who go to the marriage registration office. Here they come and get their marriage registered. On the other side, we see Lu Qing, who tells the whole truth about the Thundercloud comic on her social media account. And doing this, she was feeling very good because now there was no guilt in her mind. After this, she tells Jisiki, I have left everything. At this, Jisiki says, it's okay, I will always be with you, and let's make a new start now. Then they both decide to go on a long trip by bicycle. Then we see Gian and Xinian, where Gian was being extra romantic today. He had also taken permission from Xinian's parents for his marriage. Just then, Xinian gets a call from Zhou Xin, and she says, come to the office. Going there, Xinian sees Lu Qing's post and posts in her support. It was not Lu Qing's fault. Big people and celebrities start supporting her post, and her followers also start increasing very quickly, which surprises everyone as they don't understand what is happening. But Xinian knew that Gian had done all this. After everything is settled, Gian goes and starts discussing their marriage and honeymoon with Xinian. Then they both go to Grandpa. Just then, their mom also arrives, who had come here for the first time after the divorce. Grandpa says, I had also called your mom, and I had also called Lu Qing and Jisiki, but I don't know why they haven't arrived yet. Just then, they hear someone's voice. They both go outside and see that they have reached here in a very bad condition. They both ask them the reason for this condition, so they explain, "We both went on a long drive by bicycle, but on the way, our phone and money fell, and our bicycle's tire also got punctured. After this, a dog also started chasing us, due to which we had to keep running for a long distance." Hearing all this, Gian starts laughing. Then all four of them come inside, where Mom tells them, "You guys will have to wait a little for your wedding, until I get married." Hearing this, everyone is shocked, and then they find out that Mom is going to marry their dad, from whom she had taken a divorce. Then we see that the day of their wedding has also arrived, where Ji-Siki and Lu Qing are also dressed as a couple, and Mom is dressed and waiting for her husband, who has not yet arrived. Just then, he comes running, bringing flowers for her. On the other side, we see Qinian, who was writing the happy ending of her comic today, in which she and Gian get married, and her office people congratulate her for this happy ending. Then she runs to her wedding, gets ready, and asks about Gian, where a lady gives her a letter from Gian in which Gian had written, "After 100 days from today, we will get married." And today was the last day. From this, Qinian finds out that Gian has liked her for a long time. Just then, Gian comes and puts a ring on her finger. Then he gets down on one knee and proposes to her, so Qinian immediately accepts, and then they both kiss. In this way, their wedding is also completed. After this, we see them both in a beautiful place where Qinian asks him, "Tell me the truth, since when have you liked me?" Then we are shown a flashback scene from when Gian was young. He goes to a temple and writes a wish for his family and hangs it. Here, Qinian had also written a wish for her wedding and hung it. Qinian's father tells Gian, "Hang your wish in a different place," but he accidentally gives him Qinian's wish. When Gian leaves from there, Qinian's dad thinks, "Oh, I gave him the wrong card." Just then, Qinian comes there, shows him a sketch, and says, "This is of the boy who just left from here." This meant that destiny had brought them together even after so many years, and both their wishes had also been fulfilled. Then they both kiss here, and with this happy